In a marathon 3-day special session that wrapped up a little bit earlier here this afternoon in Nashville. And as you mentioned, David, Governor Bill Lee has already signed this, making this redistricting a reality. Just a couple of hours ago, you couldn't move through this hall at all. This is a scene here outside of the House chamber. Alarms are going off. People are still gathered. The House just about 30 minutes ago erupted in total chaos. The House Democratic Caucus, they gathered. I think you guys were with us and kind of saw some of it right at the center of the House floor.
They just called it. So the reality of it is this.
Looks like we have a
call. So
with about 54% of the vote in.
So with that being said, and again, here we are live on TV.
And I will just let everybody who's watching take this in here as President Trump comes down from Air Force One. We're just outside of Coosa Steel, where, of course, the president is continuing to talk at this hour. We started out here at Coosa Steel 12 hours ago. It's a crowded field of 13 Republicans. A lot of people have said the Epstein files is a big issue for them. Let's take a look again. As Sierra talked about a little bit earlier, a lot of dually support, all concentrated in and around Atlanta. But then again, it's our area. It just goes to show you why Collins is having such a good night, because he's overperforming. A race where we know we won't have a runoff is one we talked with Congressman Clay Fuller earlier, but he sailed to victory in that Republican primary. 24 eastbound is where we're standing, and that we are expecting, according to the Dade County Sheriff's Office, to be closed for quite some time this morning. We're continuing to follow breaking news of a fire in East Ridge this morning at the Germantown Garden Apartments. Thankfully, the fire is contained. Sheriff Garrett says that numbers like these he posts every month. 36 people placed on an ICE hold in November, 42 in January, are consistent with a state statute from 2024 requiring agencies to indicate on this form arrestees with unlawful or unknown status. Now we have a better idea of who's actually receiving the vouchers. And as we've said, Hamilton, one of the hot spots in the whole state. This amount of concrete is enough to build a 2-lane highway all the way to Nashville. But once complete, this will become the new Chickamauga Lock. Some of the colors that you see are actually from some of the graffiti that's been here over the last several years. But then when you get this blue color right here, that is that original U.S. pipe that's on some of the buildings that are still in this area that haven't been touched. So there's just so much history all around this area. This is in the powerhouse, and it's just all original. You can feel it. If it's a competition for who's got the loudest band at 6 o'clock in the morning, I think you guys are winning. Every single week, one of these schools brings us something different. Yeah. This light show is something special. You guys ready to go this morning? We're out here for the Grateful Gobbler. They are ready to go this Thanksgiving morning, all for a good cause. Violet says that you can come up, open the library, you can take a book, you can donate one, or both.
We shared a disturbing 911 call from October of 2024 when we brought you our investigation into Tennessee's Department of Children's Services this month.
An 11-year-old boy staying overnight at a Bradley County office tried to harm himself.
Staying at the office for 24 hours, days on end right now due to just some stuff that's happening with DCS right now. So these kids don't have placements, and they've gone stir crazy. We've tried to do what we can and trying to take them outside, play with them, do what we can, but it's just as soon as we de-escalate, about an hour later, they re-escalate.
Since that call aired, we heard from one caseworker who sat with the boy and left DCS last month.
She tells our Logan Dubel going to work became a moral dilemma.
I felt ashamed for the first time in my career to be working for the department. I felt like I was participating in helping to harm children instead of help children, and it was weighing very heavily on my conscience.
Jennifer Carruthers spent more than 50 nights with children in Bradley and McMinn County DCS offices, including with that young boy.
He was very unhappy, very vocal about being unhappy. He was telling workers during the shifts that he didn't want to be there. In particular, he said to me he just wanted to live somewhere where there were windows.
Carruthers worked twice for DCS for a total of about 5 years, investigating cases with babies born testing positive for illegal substances. We sat down at her church, First United Methodist in Cleveland, where she turned to bring children over before sunrise and take showers. In an affidavit filed as part of an injunction in an ongoing lawsuit on behalf of 19 Tennessee foster children, she writes, quote, "I cannot continue to participate in a system where the harm occurring in my presence outweighs the good I am attempting to do." She testifies that children slept on 4-inch thick camping mattresses and rooms in Bradley County often had mice.
I feel like I've lost my access to help children, and so I've just really been trying to figure out what the best way is for me to speak out.
After our last story, many viewers commented praising Isaiah houses. But these transitional homes aren't the foolproof solution people might assume. A DCS spokesperson tells me children above the ages of 12 or 13 aren't likely to go to an Isaiah house, especially not those with high levels of need who've been in offices. The first Isaiah house opened back in 2018, and there are now about 20 Tennessee locations. They're designed to support children who are entering foster care and awaiting placement. Children are only supposed to stay for about 72 hours. The kids in offices have high levels of need, meaning they wouldn't get a typical placement. But there is some good news, though. DCS does confirm that children haven't stayed in offices since the end of January, and that's supported by this email that I obtained saying, quote, "No more office shifts going forward," and that was as of late February. It's unclear where exactly those children are being placed, but a DCS spokesperson tells me many children are going to transitional homes. Those are managed by private licensed providers at properties often donated. DCS is proposing a real estate plan to boost their space, but that likely won't break ground until later this year.
As a worker on the front line, coming to talk to me about a real estate plan when the building is on fire is a little bit like bringing a fire prevention kit when the building's already completely engulfed in flame.
Carruthers doesn't deny that some of the kids staying in offices could become aggressive and violent and can harm workers. While Carruthers recognizes finding placement is never easy, she says instability is causing people like her to leave.
It sent workers who have good hearts and good souls and who are trying their best, and it's put them in a place of crisis. And so it's not uncommon to have workers crying in the office.
Carruthers says a restructuring, which combines service regions across the state, has not only made it harder for kids, but impossible for workers crisscrossing the state, taking children to visitations. She says it's not just DCS, but juvenile courts and resources for families that need a closer look.
I heard a lot of the time when we were sitting in offices, well, we're just doing the best that we can. But to me, that sounds like the same language that the parents are using. They're also saying they're just trying their best. So if they're just trying their best and we're just trying our best, and at the end of the day, who's helping the children?
The nearly 8,000 children who remain in Tennessee's foster care system. Logan Dubel, Local 3 investigates.
It's been nearly 2 weeks since floodwaters ripped through the Tennessee Valley, but the frustration continues at the Crossing Apartments in Fort Oglethorpe.
Residents have shared their concerns with our Logan Dubel for the past few weeks, and he looked in our archives and found that flooding and frustration are nothing new at this complex.
In unison, residents have told us that this isn't the first time floodwaters have pummeled this complex, which used to be known as the Battlewood Apartments. Preservation Management only began operating this property in the last few years, but a trip to our archives shows that this problem goes back decades.
These folks are used to flooding waters. This happens every time a hard rain falls.
Because right down here, there's a creek at the edge of these apartments, and it gets filled up.
14 years later.
I know several times this place has flooded up here. I think this is about the worst it's been.
It's heartbreaking, and we don't have a whole lot to start with.
And just last week,
I had to literally wade through. My grandchildren came to my rescue. We waded through all of that sewer water and propane, you know, and I was like, this is just uncalled for.
3 decades, 3 floods, and the same sentiments. Submerged cars and destroyed homes. Residents past and present have blamed nearby Black Branch Creek, but as Fort Oglethorpe leaders told us last week, the property owner would have to pay for any mitigation project. Until units have new floors and sheetrock, dozens of residents remain displaced. Janet Gass has lived there for 20 years. She stayed at a shelter for one night, but has slept in her car instead of returning to her apartment. The flood still haunts her.
I did sleep in the car for like 4 nights, which hurt me bad, and because I didn't know of anything else.
She wants preservation management to step up.
I wish they would run it like real human beings and think about other human beings and put themselves in our place, or act like we're their family if they care about their family.
Preservation did send residents a letter acknowledging the historic flooding and set up a phone line dedicated to addressing their challenges. Staff answered Local 3 on that phone line, and they passed our questions on to the owner last week, but we have not yet heard back. Many residents rely on Section 8 vouchers. Those are administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. We can confirm that HUD and the property ownership did hold a meeting, and that property ownership did not inform HUD of the storm damage until 6 days after the fact. These residents, though, of course, asking for better treatment, far beyond just new walls. Logan Dubel, Local 3 News.
We're a few weeks into the new school year, and for most families, it's a time of new beginnings.
But the first week of school brought unimaginable tragedy to one Hamilton County family. Silas Herndon, just 14 years old, died by suicide last month.
Now Silas's father is sharing this tragic story with an urgent message to other parents. Logan Dubel reports.
When you walk into the Herndon home in Sail Creek, there's a memorial to Silas. Photos, artwork, reminders of a bright light gone too soon. Now collecting dust. But that's okay for Silas's father, Mark, because that dust is far from settled on his call to action.
We cannot sit here and not do anything anymore.
Silas was a student at the Chattanooga School for Arts and Sciences their entire life. Silas was a member of the LGBTQ+ community, and despite being surrounded by love, Mark says Silas struggled with identity. Even with a supportive family, caring sisters, friends, and counselors, Mark realizes he still had lessons to learn as a parent.
Our stubbornness is very harmful to them, and it's harmful in a way that we, as a family, are unwilling to hear anymore.
It all comes down to listening. Mark says today's kids face challenges that many parents simply didn't experience growing up.
We seem to be missing how soon our kids are experiencing these adult things because of the anxieties of life that we don't understand, because we grew up in another time and with situations that we swept under the rug a whole lot more than we do now.
Sadly, Silas's story isn't unique. A new report from the Tennessee Department of Health paints a troubling picture. Hamilton County saw the biggest increase in the suicide rate statewide, jumping 56%. Across Tennessee, suicides among kids ages 10 to 17 rose 47% between 2019 and 2023. For Mark, these aren't just statistics. These numbers represent families like his, and that's driving him to take action.
That thing's waking up in me, and unfortunately for those around me, I'm a pretty loud guy.
Mark plans to address the Hamilton County Board of Education on September 18th. He's upset the board recently voted to end a program that provided in-school counseling. While Silas didn't use that specific service, Mark calls the decision a mistake. Silas did seek community at the Seed Theater, a place that also serves as a safe space for LGBTQ youth.
Regardless of who you are as a person, what your background is, what your class is, what kind of money is in your family, what kind of resources you have, everybody is at risk for mental health illness. Everybody is at risk for suicide ideation. And if everybody has a safe place to process and to deal with those emotions, then everybody can be safe.
Although Silas was a quiet kid, their impact on others was anything but.
I'm proud as a dad to see a community of people come out and say that they're sad to see a light go out that shouldn't have gone out. He was that smile that spoke. I think that's what people saw the most in him, in them. See how I'm learning too.
A local power powerlifter is headed to Las Vegas this weekend, hoping to bring him a gold medal in the Olympia Pro Powerlifting competition.
Local 3's Logan Dubel met the strongman at the gym and shows us how he's helping build a community around strength.
This is 705.5.
Jason Banks first walked through the doors of Grit House Gym in 2019.
I came in and there were a lot of powerlifters in here that it kind of took me under the wing and invited me to get back into the sport.
The Army veteran, once college cross-country runner, and until recently Volkswagen worker, says he struggled with alcohol. He needed an outlet. He had tried powerlifting before.
When I got out of the Army, I needed something, and I tried bodybuilding, but I really like Reese cups, man. So I like candy and I like food.
But when the pandemic hit, he committed to the gym. Maybe too much.
I tore my bicep in 2020, and that set me back for a couple of weeks. I had a massive hernia. I had a huge complex hernia surgery and had to come back from that. And I tore my groin. I tore my adductor. I tore my quad.
None of that stopped him. Now he trains 3 to 4 days a week. That led to his qualification for this weekend's trip to Sin City. He'll bench, squat, and deadlift. His wife, April Banks, is his biggest cheerleader.
He's been told so many times by people in his past that nobody cares, or, you know, it's not a big deal, nobody cares. And I think it's time that people start caring.
In just the past 6 months, Jason started training others with his own business called Unshakable, teaching them to strive not for the look, but the strength of powerlifting.
So I think this is actually 155.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Hannah Wilkinson is one of Jason's athletes.
Stay tight. Big gear. Start.
A mom of 2 young kids and a Juilliard-trained musician, if you had preconceived notions about who becomes a powerlifter, think again. She competed at her first meet in July.
The camaraderie is so intense and crazy and wonderful. I didn't know these people from Adam, and they came up and congratulated me and gave me hugs, and they wanted to see me succeed.
Camaraderie felt beyond just powerlifting.
There's a pretty famous weightlifter from the Chattanooga area that's done more than we could ever dream of doing in this sport.
That would be Olivia Reeves, who brought home the gold in Olympic weightlifting last summer. Weightlifting relies on more technique and powerlifting on greater raw power. But to Banks, the community is one.
We hear the term Nooga Strong. I'm not the strongest person in Chattanooga. I'm just the fortunate guy that has managed to make his way to this meet.
Now Banks hits the skies to be among 163 athletes competing from around the world.
I'm peaking really well right now. I'm stronger than I've ever been, and I believe we're going to go to Vegas and come back with a gold medal.
Logan Dubel, Local 3 News.